Any discussion, changes to the minutes? Do I meant to peruse or? You had a suggestion.
I was going to suggest, should that motion include the response from the council on who's the public comment?
That'll be next one.
Or what they were asking. My understanding was there were public comments. There were.
Oh, let's hold and see what the opinion is, and then we can go back and make a decision. Yeah. And Bob, you had a
No.
it's on the bottom. All right. Any discussion, changes, edits to the minutes? If not, all in favor, please signal aye. Any opposed? All right, minutes are adopted. Thank you. Old business, bylaws. Approval of new next bylaws. Leading that discussion.
Do we need discussion? These are the bylaws that were presented
They were presented
at the last meeting? or the meeting?
January, I believe.
January.
Right.
And reviewed at that time.
Take time to review and
Have they been revised? I mean, what I don't know and have not talked with Randy about is whether or not there were any,
I was not aware of any changes that were made. So we have a motion to accept, adopt the bylaws.
Actually,
Yeah,
there was.
let's get a motion on the table and if we can, and then we can have discussion. So I have a motion to, so move second.
Second.
Thank you. Discussion. Bob?
Actually, I know Randy did make one change to the bylaws, and that was the result of the Article 4. The officers, there was a one-sentence description of what each officer was, what their function was, except for secretary. I suggested consistency sake, that should be added. He did have a sentence.
That sentence says the secretary shall be responsible for overseeing the preparation and filing of official documentation required by the board. So, that's where that. Any further discussion of the bylaws?
One comment, Mr. Chairman. Under Article 3 for regular meetings, I had made a suggestion that we say the board shall meet 4 times a year. If we choose to meet more than 4 times a year, are we in violation of the bylaw? So I was suggesting that we add the word at least, so that if we choose to meet 5 or 6 times, we will be consistent with the bylaw, but still in that we can.
Not move the amendment.
I shall move, make a motion to make this friendly change.
Can I ask a question? Is the special meeting part of regular meeting or considered as a regular meeting or is it not?
Repeat the question.
I was asking if the special meeting can be considered as a regular meeting. So it means that we have to meet at least 4 regular meetings.
I would imagine that a special meeting could be construed to be one of the 4 meetings. I don't know.
Maureen?
in the last sentence under special meetings says, no business shall be transacted in such special meeting except that expressly identified in the notice of the special meeting. Yeah, conceivably, it could be one of the 4 meetings if it's at least. But the notion of special meetings is that they were for exceptional reasons other than or in addition to. There's certainly some things doing violence.
My thought too. And I was always thinking of it that if for some reason we had scheduled the 4 meetings in the course of the typical quarters, and then we needed to change it for something, it would be just the changing of the schedule of one of the 4 normally conducted meetings, and not necessarily a special meeting. So I see the point there.
Right.
So arguably, the special meeting, based on what you just said, would not be one of the 4 meetings, unless, of course, because of the nature of it being called maybe within days of the other meeting, we could specify, as long as we put it out in notice, that the normal business of the meeting is going to be conducted right after this special meeting, in which case it's still a 4th meeting. You just go out of the special meeting into the normal. Yeah, we just adjourn one and go into the other.
Well, take this further to the meetings.
Does this mean that we have to be full-time?
Yes.
It does.
The intent was for us to meet every quarter, or so. So that's why I was having the at least, but it may very well be as we begin starting up and getting the consortium up and running, that we may need to meet more than 4 times a year.
Or if at some point in time we decide that, twice a year is sufficient, we can always move it to
Mr. Chairman, just a small point, if we are going to add the words at least, do we need to delete the word quarterly? Because we do meet 6 times a year. We would no longer necessarily be receiving quarterly reports from the consortium, so I guess we could receive a report at every meeting.
Agreed, Chairman. Barry, my intent of the at least was to acknowledge and recognize as we're beginning to put things together to consider what the consortium will do. As we establish it, that the authority may need to meet more than 4 times a year. However, we are required to provide a quarterly report. So we would still be providing a quarterly report, irrespective of whether or not we met 5 or 6 times a year. This is the real reason I didn't suggest changing that. It was my hope that we would continue to provide quarterly report, my expectation, and that if we needed to be more really in this first year, simply because of the setting up of the consortium and all the activities thereof, that we could have that. My fear was that if this said 4, and then we needed a 5th meeting for some reason, that the bylaws would appear on the face to preclude such a 5th meeting. That was my only concern of saying at least.
Any further discussion on the proposed amendment?
So what is it?
The amendment would read, on Article 3, subsection A, the board shall meet at least 4 times a year. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All opposed? Okay, the motion now is on adoption of the bylaws as amended. Any discussion? None. All vote, all those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Bylaws are adopted. Thank you. All right, next item on the agenda, new business, special committee recommendations.
Yes, sir. As the appointed chair of the special committee by the chairman of the authority, we had a meeting, as you know, on March 17th as a special committee where we met to discuss the activities going forward, and those are listed under Roman numeral 5 in your package, Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, and Delta. And they are the activities and the issues that we needed to discuss, starting in this particular order. The approval of the authority and consortium division of responsibility and corresponding letter from the authority to the consortium. As you will see, we had the discussion where we said what our mission was, and we actually had 12 particular requirements underneath that mission where we established who was responsible for those, whether it was the authority or the consortium. We also established an immediate goals list of what the things we needed to do and who was responsible, again, authority or consortium. And then under part of this too was also the letter from the authority to the consortium to establish it, acknowledging, recognizing what our expectations were and what they needed to do. This is what constitutes Alpha, which is the first activity, one of the goals and the objectives and the proposed responsibility with the immediate goals, and then the draft letter from the authority to the consortium. It is my belief that the special committee weighed in, provided comments at the meeting, and this is the recommendation of the special committee to the full authority as to the actions herein.
And your request is approval?
I answer, requesting approval of both these documents.
Motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second. 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 Got it. Thank you. Discussion? Just on both documents?
Yes, sir, for both. Both the letter and the goals.
Draft letter and the goals and objectives, correct. Any discussion?
Marshall, I'll just take the opportunity to share with the body that, just so they know the progression from meeting to meeting, that the goals and objectives document that has now been sort of sorted as between authority and consortium is the document that was developed after our very first meeting, and the discussion that we had there about our sort of hopes and dreams for the authority and the consortium. So it was a deeper dive, sort of looking at all of those identified activities and figuring out in which body they would most effectively and properly be accomplished.
Any other discussion? If not, I'll entertain the vote. All those in favor of adopting the two documents, those objectives and the draft letter, say aye, please.
Aye.
Any opposed? So adopted. Thank you, sir.
The next is Bravo, which was the approval of consortium's articles of incorporation. And this is the next document you see in here, which was established, and we don't have the agent's name, and I will just leave that to you, because you were working with the attorney that was doing this for us, mostly a pro bono condition, were you not, Maureen?
Right. Jim Dye with Clear Ryan, who is head of their energy practice, is representing the consortium. I want to be very clear about that. The Attorney General's office represents this body, the authority, but he has volunteered to help the consortium get itself established. We haven't filled in the blanks here. He provided the outline, and I provided that to Randy. The blanks here will be filled in pursuant to what we just adopted and pursuant to the work that is done in conformance with the timeline and the plan for recruitment of a board and all of those elements. So this is your shell. This is what the Articles of Incorporation would look like. We could certainly bring them back to this body if we feel the need, once all the blanks are filled in. But we could also approve it and approve the staff filling in the blanks and filing them once the information is available.
Does everybody understand that one? Any, we have a motion to adopt, to approve the articles of incorporation. So move second.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Questions? If not, all in favor, please signify. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you.
The third document was a discussion and approval of the consortium founding member plan and the consortium member value proposition. What you see in your document is the founding board and member recruitment proposal that we put together, which is this first page laying out the consortium founding member plan, which lays out how we would create a recruitment committee, what they would do, then the founding board requirements as we saw them, establishing the number of members, the minimum and the maximum, how they would serve as permanent board members and have certain obligations to is determined by the recruitment committee. These things still to be finalized as we put together our recruitment committee, and then the founding board responsibilities. So this is the first part of Charlie, is this document. I'll come to the second part about the member value proposition in just a moment. So this document was discussed at the March 17th meeting and modified to be consistent with what we thought was the appropriate approach in the member recruitment and what the consortium board should consist of, both with members, and the details related to this would be established by a recruitment committee reporting back to the authority once we establish said committee with these initial goals put together, coming to the timeline that we'll come to shortly. So I make a motion to approve this, Mr. Chairman.
Second. Second. Is there discussion? Question? None. We vote, all those in favor? Opposed? So adopted.
The second part of that was the consortium member value proposition. And Jerry